welcome to the Ruth MacFit podcast, where we're redefining what it means to feel great in midlife. I'm Ruth, coach and creator of the No Crap Cake Method, a simple, no-nonsense approach to fat loss, fitness, and feeling your best without giving up everything you love. If you're ready to ditch your all-or-nothing mindset, build habits that stick, and say no to the crap that drains you, then you're in the right place. Let's go. Hello and welcome back. Very happy to be here. The weather is stunning here in Devon at the moment. I'm actually recording this at the weekend, which is unlike me. I don't normally do that. It's Sunday morning and yesterday I did my brunch run, which was lovely. It's the first time that I've done that in a while because of that niggle injury in my lower back, but it felt pretty good. Definitely lost a little bit of CV fitness, but that is to be expected. But we live and we move on and we build and we get back to doing what we were doing. But the main target, as many of you might know, of those runs that I do is to come back feeling better than I did when I set out. And that meant mission success yesterday because I did feel great afterwards. And today I'm actually going off to a breathwork workshop a little bit later. A local lady has started running them. So I'm going to go along and give it a go, show her some support, but hopefully come back feeling pretty chill. I think it's going to be around a teepee. Anyway, who knows, but it's going to be a beautiful setting nonetheless, and I'm looking forward to it. So on with today's episode, which is about something that I do hear all the time. Maybe you've said it to yourself, and that is, I used to be able to lose weight so easily. What's changed? Why is it so much harder now? What's wrong with me? And I do get it, right? Because I know it can be frustrating when the things that used to work, like cutting back on your calories, a couple of gym sessions, a bit of willpower, just don't seem to do the job anymore. You might even be wondering if it's your hormones, if it's just you, whether you failed, or if it's even possible to lose weight anymore. So today, my plan is to clear that up. I want to talk about what's really going on, the truth, the science, and most importantly, a mindset shift that can make a big difference. I also want to share a message I got from a lovely client I used to work with because her words capture exactly what I want to help more women experience. But in order to do that, I think we need to begin with the basics. On paper, fat loss is the same at any age. Calories in versus calories out. Here we're talking energy balance. A calorie deficit will lead to weight loss whether you're 25 or 55, whether you are male or female. And that is the biomechanics of it all. And yes, technically they haven't changed, but I can hear you mentally screaming at the whatever you're listening to this on, saying, but it has changed. It does feel different. And the thing is, we don't live on paper, do we? We live in real life with work stress, partners, teenagers, aging parents, sleepless nights, hormonal shifts, changing energy. And if we're honest, I think at this stage of life, midlife, not a lot of time for any nonsense. And I think this is where a lot of very well-meaning coaches are slightly missing the mark. Not intentionally. I think often it's because the things that have worked really well for them, and then they start to believe that that's the only way. If only everyone would just do what I've done. It's worked really well for me. And they might start preaching HIIT workouts, telling you to fast until noon, to track every macro obsessively, push harder. But what they're not considering is the person you are now. You're not them. You also don't have the same life as them, and you don't have the same life that you had maybe 5 or 10 years ago. Logically, some things have actually started to shift with age as well, particularly for women who are in perimenopause and menopause. Research from the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism highlights how declining estrogen levels can impact fat distribution, energy regulation, and insulin sensitivity. So you may find that fat now settles more around your midsection, around your tummy area, or the energy dips harder than it did before. And it's not imagined. It's not that you're broken. It's just that things are different. And with perimenopause and menopause, obviously there are things that can be done to help manage your symptoms, going to the doctors, maybe getting some HRT, but also some lifestyle changes that can be made to help as well. But I feel like that would be a whole separate podcast episode. I think even more important though, when we consider fat loss, is that our lives are different now than they used to be. And I think this is an area that a lot of people unintentionally ignore. They expect the same from themselves now when their life is completely different than it was 5 or 10 years ago. Something that I see so much when women are coming over to work with me is that they're not coming because they failed. It's because they've outgrown the strategies that used to work. They might still be trying to go all in, still chasing perfection, still assuming that they just need to restrict harder or push harder, that they lack motivation or willpower. And they also think that if they just try harder, they're going to get the results that they used to. But it isn't quite like that, because you're not the same person anymore. And I think we should celebrate that. I think it's a great thing, because I think we know ourselves better at this stage of life. In fact, I did a poll on my Instagram ages ago asking the best thing about being in our 40s and above. And a lot of people said that they just know themselves better. They've learned so much. I think we're wiser, but we often do have more on our plates as well. And I think also we just want to enjoy life now. We don't have the time to put it on hold for yet another diet. The thought of dieting again can often fill these women with dread, understandably. And if I think about when we were younger, if we're honest, it wasn't always about making sustainable change, was it? It was just about a number on a scale. We just wanted to get to the lowest number that we thought was possible. No one asked if we'd be able to keep the weight off. No one asked how it was impacting our mood, our social life, our energy, our confidence. We were just happy to go all in for a short space of time, and we didn't think about the rest. But now we don't want that. We want to feel good. We want to feel strong. We want to go on holiday. And we don't want to be the one always taking the photos. We actually want to be in the photos too. We want to wear the shorts, eat the cake, enjoy life without having to keep starting over again and again. And now, actually, I want to read a message that I received from a lovely client that I worked with in the past. It said, "I decided I'd had enough of kidding myself. I'd been going to the gym, but my eating, particularly snacking and emotional eating, was out of control. Working with Ruth has changed my focus on eating to fuel my body. The workouts changed my body composition massively. Ruth helped me navigate weight loss around social events and life in general. Weight loss isn't linear. Each time I've had a holiday or event, if my weight's gone up, it's been temporary. I understand that now, and I don't throw in the towel. The education Ruth gave me has changed my relationship with food massively. I no longer associate food with emotions. I eat well to feel well." And that shift, that's not about being stricter. That's just from changing the approach, changing the method. And I think part of the reason that we can find weight loss so much harder than we used to is that when we're not getting the results as quickly as we used to get them, then we have the habit of thinking, what's the point, and throwing in the towel. It's not that our bodies suddenly won't lose weight. It's that life is different now and needs a different approach. So here's the type of thing that I'll focus on with clients like the lady I mentioned earlier. And I want you to remember that we're all starting at different points, and jumping all in, expecting yourself to change everything, is likely unrealistic. But over time, these are the types of habits that we'd be looking to build in. We want to look at general activity. We want to be making sure we're getting up and moving throughout the day. Steps are a great way of measuring this, so that you can see where you are and just look to build on that. We also want to be looking at some form of resistance or strength training to preserve that muscle mass and have you feeling strong in body and mind. And again, for you, that will be starting where you are now. So if you haven't been doing any strength training whatsoever, it might start with a short body weight routine. In my app, we have daily routines that are body weight and take no longer than 10 minutes, as well as the full workouts, which are home or gym. It's just about getting started in whatever way you can. That's definitely something I always wanted, is to make it accessible for all. And then we want to look at those meals that you're eating during the day, aiming for those 3 meals a day, eating enough protein and fibre to stay full and energized. And here is where it gets very important. We also want calm consistency. We're not chasing intensity. Sometimes we do need to slow down in order to speed up. You're not going to be perfect every day, because every day is not going to be the same. There are going to be things that come up and we need to be able to adapt to that. But you'll have those minimums that you can do even on the hardest days, that give you an opportunity to pause for a short space of time. And then we want to make sure that we make space for life, because life isn't going to be stopping for fat loss, and it doesn't need to either. Research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition and Obesity Reviews actually backs this up. Women over 40 benefit from increased protein intake to help preserve muscle mass and regulate appetite, especially during hormonal transitions. And then resistance training becomes even more important to support metabolism, bone density, and overall longevity. And then we want to add to that the mental load of daily life. Studies in behavioral science show that decision fatigue and emotional overload dramatically increase the likelihood of overeating, not because of weakness, but because the brain is depleted. I remember a story in particular from a lady who said to me that she'd got back from work, all best intentions, but she went to the freezer and just found herself grabbing a pizza and chips and ate it. And she said to her, I don't know why I did that. And I suggested that she have some quick and healthy ready meal type meals in the freezer for those days when she was feeling tired. And she was like, I do, but I still reached for the pizza and the chips. And you see, this is what happens because over the course of the day, we're making so many decisions, whether they're tiny or big or anywhere in between. But by the time we get home and we're mentally exhausted and we're trying to make another decision about what we can eat, we just don't have that brain space anymore. It's definitely not a lack of motivation. It's just a lack of space to think. And what happens then is we resort to the quickest thing that we would have done in the past. You know, our old coping mechanisms take over then. And that's why I love things like the evening routine and the morning routine and so on, because they come in and save us. It is about building those flexible habits that have things feeling easier and not harder. And that's why it doesn't become just tracking more or being better. That type of thing isn't going to work long term. We don't need more pressure. We just need smarter and more sustainable. And for the client I mentioned who sent the message, the original goal for her had been to feel great on holiday, but here is how she finished her message. I can't find any photos of me from previous holidays because I never felt happy with how I looked. But this has changed. As I approach my 40s, I feel strong, fit, and the most comfortable I've been post-kids. Ruth helped me get out the cycle of yo-yo dieting. Life didn't stop for weight loss, and it doesn't need to. And that's it. It isn't about shrinking yourself. It's about feeling more like you again, becoming who you want to be. It's about feeling in control and taking ownership of the choices that you're making, building confidence that lasts long after the diet that you might have signed up for would have ended. So a long while back, I realised that I wasn't enjoying my favourite cake anymore. I wasn't really enjoying it because I'd started thinking that it was bad or feeling guilty after eating it, like it was the one thing that was pushing me over my calories. But when I actually took a moment and thought about what was going on, it wasn't the cake. It was all that mindless picking during the day that I couldn't keep track of. That was the problem. The stuff that wasn't even registering. Bites off the kids' plate when they were smaller, nibbles while I was cooking or while I was baking. Still love a little lick of the mixture. And then the slithers of cake, not the pieces of cake. The bites around the kitchen here and there. None of them were satisfying, but they all still added up. So I made a deal with myself. No crap cake. If I was going to eat something indulgent, it had to be worth it. I wanted to sit down and enjoy every bite. And you know what happened? That one simple condition created space, not just in my calories, but in my mindset. It stopped me fearing food and instead to start choosing the stuff that I actually liked. And I applied that same thinking, actually, to alcohol a few years later. I used to pour a glass of wine in the evening to unwind, and I know a lot of people do that, so I know that I wasn't alone. But eventually, I realised that I didn't even really want it. It wasn't serving me well, it was impacting my sleep and, so on. So to begin with, I started swapping it for a non-alcoholic wine to break that pattern. And I set a condition which was never as a reaction to stress. And I decided I'd rather enjoy something that was actually good, like sharing a bottle of Chapel Down or champagne with my husband once in a while, thinking maybe monthly, rather than some average stuff most evenings. And funnily enough, I hardly drink at all anymore. I started using this no crap cake condition with my clients, and it also just clicked for them too. But over time, it's grown into something so much more, because it isn't just about cake or booze. It's about saying no to the things that drain us, the things that we say yes to when really we want to say no. It's about owning our choices and knowing where they fit with our goals, our energy, and life in general. Recently ran the No Crap Cake Challenge in our community, and honestly, I was blown away with the response, not just within the community, but with women that actually I spoke to out and about as well, who were saying that they'd actually found it easier to pause and ask themselves if they really wanted something. One lady was telling me that she was in her kitchen about to eat a bar of chocolate and found herself asking if she really wanted it. Like, she didn't feel guilt over it or anything. She just realised that she didn't actually want it. And the best bit was that she was saying that she felt incredible for owning that choice. It felt so good. She was able to say, I don't even want this. And then she just put it back down. Because the no crap cake condition is not about restriction. It's about discernment. It's about choosing with intention and feeling calmer, clear, and strong in our decisions. And I've got clients in the group who are now very proud to say that they've become food snobs. They don't waste time or energy on the stuff that isn't worth it. These women aren't here to shrink themselves or to apologise. The women in the community are bold, clear-headed, strong midlife women who are done with the all or nothing nonsense. We want better, not just in nutrition, but in how we live our lives. And that's why, dun dun dun, I'm officially changing the name of my group coaching. And from now on, when you join, you're stepping into a framework that underpins everything I coach. And that is the no crap cake method. So if you've been wondering why fat loss doesn't work like it used to, maybe it's not your body, maybe it's the method, maybe it's time to stop aiming for what used to work and start building something that works for you now. And that is exactly what the no crap cake method is about. And you might find this strange, but when you're feeling calmer, you're feeling more in control, you feel like you're owning your choices, then fat loss becomes easier too. So if this episode hit home, I would love it if you could rate it, review it, share it to help more women in midlife find support that actually makes sense. And for those of you who are ready to stop starting over again and again and are ready to start creating sustainable, strong life in midlife, then you can head to www.ruthmacfit.com, or you can find me on Instagram at ruthmacfit. I'll pop those links in the show notes as well. But until next time, let's say no to the crap, say yes to the good stuff that has us feeling our best, and remember that midlife doesn't mean a downward spiral. It means taking ownership of our goals and building that life that we really want. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.